BLUELOCK's U20 World Cup is here, and the first new players have been revealed, coming from Nigeria. So the question on everyone's mind is, how good actually are the 4 main players from Nigeria? Where do they rank amongst the other players, and are they some of the best players we've seen? Which is why I want to analyze and do some rankings on where I think the 4 main Nigeria players are in the BLUELOCK verse from what we've seen, as well as possible predictions for their characters, like how many goals they will score, will they win or lose this match, basically scaling these 4 amongst the other players. So let's start with the first one. I think the best player in all of Nigeria has to be Onazi, and are we really surprised? The feats he put up in this last chapter was absolutely insane, borderlining unrealistic. He also seems to be the group leader of the bunch, so we can expect him to have the most development. From what we've seen or can assume, it looks like this guy is just the #1 athlete. Like, he can jump super high even as a little kid, and his jumping ability is what allowed him to get a shot attempt in the game, as well as his stamina, since he was running up and down the pitch going from both offense and defense in a very short amount of time. That's something we have to take a note of, and I really can't stress how impressive this feat is, y'all. I don't even think we can call this Godspeed. This is more teleportation than anything. Loki got some competition. His confidence is also another thing. Him saying that everything will be fine because he is here. And yeah, he's taking a thing or two from All Might. Both characters have a really good confidence and give the people around them that feeling of security. And to be a football player of that caliber, where your teammates completely trust in you and are okay because you are here, it's a very hard threshold to meet. Now, Onazi wasn't given the title of a new Gen 11, so if you're solely basing it off of narrative, I guess you can scale Itoshi Sai, Lorenzo, Kaiser, and Bunny above him. But the feats, narrative, and everything else he did was really, really good. I mean, a mid-air shot between both Aiku and Ryu, immediately identifying an open area for a shot too, that's very difficult. And when bro got his shot blocked, he just said, wowza. Mans was impressed that his shot was blocked. There was no irritation, only admiration, which honestly speaks volumes on how good he is. Like, he really don't care. So his feats are definitely up there, and I know, y'all, I'm making a video like this after only 1 chapter, but this is purely predictions from what we've seen, and what we've seen is pretty damn good. Now, combining all of that, where do I think he ranks in the BLUELOCK verse? Using the salary system, which is not entirely accurate, I know, I'm a firm believer that this is half Mickey Mouse rankings, but it's canonically the only ranking that we have. In Onazi's case, based on predictions and how good I think his character will be, I would say he is tied with 4th place, and I'll have a list on screen for the salaries if you forgot, but that's below Isagi, Rin, and Shido, but tied with Barou and above Bachira and the rest. And I know y'all got your pitchforks ready, but hear me out here. Now, Barou and Onazi kind of have some similarities where they both lead the team. They're both the group leader. They're the ones probably scoring the most goals for their team. We obviously just know a lot more about Barou since he's been with us this whole time. His kit is very offensive with his chop, dribbling, and other skills. Onazi, though, was a lot more versatile, having literal defensive feats in his first few plays. He already had an attempt for a goal, and he isn't just scoring only, he has defensive feats, and as an overall player, that gives him some brownie points for how his placement is up this high. Another reason you have to consider for why I'm placing him really high is due to narrative as well. He is what brings Nigeria hope. The other U20 players literally look up to him. Like, what other BLUELOCKers look up to players in the facility? Nobody. The last time we got this amount of respect was Isagi saying that Rin was better than him in the 2nd selection. So for Onazi to gain that much respect, and even excluding that, just his whole mentality of everything is okay because I am here, explains it all. What's more important though, we know Onazi is the best player on Nigeria's team. Imagine if the best player on Nigeria's team was any worse than the top 4 in BLUELOCK. It would make absolutely 0 sense why Japan would be struggling against them. Literally, our top 4 is better than their best player. So I know we love our Bachiras, our Barous, our Chigiris, and yes, they are good players. Onazi being up here doesn't discredit them at all, but it just feels wrong to put him anywhere below from what we've seen, especially as an overall player. his impact on the game is absolutely insane. Japan would already have a goal without him blocking, and Nigeria would have one as well if it weren't for Nico. I'll be doing goal predictions or how many I think Onazi will score towards the end. Let's move to the second best player on Nigeria's squad, which I think is Kuso, the captain of Nigeria. I mean, based on first impressions alone, not only was he just handsome and nonchalant, you probably could have assumed he was the second best, if not the best player from their introduction. From what we've seen, he's a very Yuki Miya-esque player, the glasses, the dribbling, but on top of that, he also has passes. And I think the passing is what we really need to take note of. He's an offensive midfielder, so he damn near exceeded expectations for his position. He was able to analyze the shortest, fastest, and best answer while nutmegging Rin and dodging Rayo, threading the needle to get the pass to Bello. Him making that pass on the spot is some Hiyori reflex type of play, while pulling out some Yuki Miya dribbles on top of that. So it's genuinely kind of insane. He even took a 1v2 against Rin and Isagi with confidence. I know it is just one play, but this one play has been more than some of the blue lockers, and he's been here for one chapter. I'm looking at Yuki Origin and Fukaku Gen. Him being a captain also got to give him some social credit. Like, he has to be on the good end to be captain, right? He can't just have the worst player as a captain. So although a title like that doesn't matter too much, it holds some weight. So based off his skill, where do I think Kuso will be? Looking at the salaries, the one we can compare him to most would probably be Yuki Miya. But unlike Yuki Miya, I think he has Hiyori's passing skills and a game knowledge on top of that. A smarter Yuki Miya pretty much. I think he's the player with the most potential on the team, or the most underrated. If there was anyone else besides Onazi to score a goal in this match, it would most likely be Kuso. So based on his feats and what I think right now, I would most likely place him around the 10th spot, which is quite fitting. Both captains are right next to each other. Honestly speaking, you could place him higher or lower based on potential, so I feel like this is just a safe spot in between. The Nigeria players will most likely awaken and evolve mid-match too. And remember, these 4 players of Nigeria have to be at least good. The rest of the players are literally no names, so if the 4 players of Nigeria are ranked like 15th, then it makes no sense why BLUELOCK would be struggling. Moving on to the third best player of Nigeria, this has to be Bello. Now, I don't think he's actually that bad or far off from Kuso. In fact, I would place him just a few ranks underneath him. Bello is the crazy looking right midfielder who was able to 1, anticipate where the pass was going, 2, get the ball first before Bachara, and 3, twirl right past him. He also did a fast pass to Onazi, which was called sloppy by RU, but we're looking more at his offensive feats than anything else. Even Bachara complimented his twirl. He doesn't have any title like Kuso, not a lot of screen time or main character energy like Onazi. He's kind of just Goldilocks approved, not too bad, not too good, just right in the middle. I think later on in the match, we'll see him really use his dribbling and speed to get up the field. He's pretty much just Neru Tepe if he was a midfielder. I'm not gonna lie. They even got the same haircut. For his ranking, he's got to be a little bit lower than Kuso since he is probably worse than him, but I think the offensive skills he showed was pretty good. I would honestly place him at 12th, but below Gagamaru and above RU. I don't think he would be better than Karasu or anyone else above him. Karasu is more brains in the midfield. This guy is more brawn, using his dribbling skills to get up and rough passing. It's just up to you to pick your poison on whether you prioritize brains or brawn, but I'm pretty comfortable placing him here for now. All right, the last player of Nigeria is Aboa Bona. By process of elimination, he would be definitively the worst, but by no means do I think he's bad. First of all, I think he got the most fire name, probably the most memorable name. Second of all, he hasn't even shown any feats. He just kind of got made an example of by Rin. And I mean, he went against BLUELOCK's #1 and quote, best striker. So we got to give him a little more slack and a little more time to show off his feats, and maybe his ranking goes higher. But just based off predictions and where I think his character will be potential-wise, he's almost an RU clone with very long limbs, so maybe he can scale close or above RU. It would be kind of sad if the only known defender for Nigeria is lower than RU, considering, you know, he's the only defender. We got to make him at least RU level. I do think each and every single player will have their own moment, kind of like the NEL, where every player on a team, for example, Manshine had a good moment, Shigiri with his 44 Panther snipe, Nagi with the 5-shot revolver, and Rayo assisting him. Basically, you get the point that main characters will have some sort of evolution or specific moment. And in that case, then almost all of the Nigeria players, especially Aboabona, can go way higher. I'm not sure if he'd scale above Aiku because, you know, Aiku's just insane, so he lays somewhere in between there. Another thing, and this is just my hunch, I think him and Bello are probably very close to each other in skill. Like, they're not the star players, they're not the captains, but solid enough to be the main for Nigeria squad. In fact, I think because they are so close in skill, I'm gonna be placing a Aboabona literally right underneath Bello and above RU. This ranking makes the most sense to me because why would RU, one of the 3 defenders from Japan, be better than the one name drop defender on Nigeria's side? Alright, so with all the rankings done, let's move into some final predictions on goals and assists for these characters. How do I think Nigeria will perform in this match? Starting with Onazi, obviously the star-studded player of this team. I think he'll score 2 goals in this match, pretty much doing everything he can for the team. However, I do think the gas will run out for him later on into this match. Just simply with him doing everything himself, it's a double-edged sword. With him being there, Nigeria will rely on him too hard, and I think that will be their downfall. Kuso, I think, will have a great awakening moment, maybe stepping up to the plate after Onazi starts to get tired out, showing why he's the captain and really how close their friendship is. We all know they grew up with each other, so Kuso stepping up to the plate when Onazi eventually gets stopped and scoring a goal, I can definitely see coming true. He's also the most skilled one to get a goal besides Onazi, obviously. From just his skills alone, I think this will be a solo goal, kind of like a Batra's goal in Team Z versus Team V, running against the enemy and giving his team hope again. In Bello's case, I think he'll get assists to Onazi. I really don't see him getting anything more than this. And we'll probably see Aboabona counter a big player, either stopping Isagi's play or something like Rin's Destroyer mode. I hope they do, because low-key, that would be hella hype. Aboabona stopping them, even though I love Rin and Isagi. There is no way the sole defender, the only one with a name, wouldn't do anything big like that. So with all that analysis and predictions, how do I think the Nigeria match will end? Considering the fact I think everyone knows Nigeria will not make it out of the group stage, it's reserved for both France and Japan just due to plot, we can expect a loss or maybe even a tie for them. The most obvious and I think agreed upon answer would be for Japan to win against Nigeria and then lose to France and draw against England. But I think a tie, I wouldn't mind, honestly. That way it makes the other group stage matches a little more intense, especially the last England match where they're forced to win instead. Because if they draw against Nigeria, lose against France, that means it's a do or die situation with England, kind of like the first selection. And also, Nigeria is a pretty strong team. The only reason why I think they would lose is 1, they're not making it past the group stage due to plot, 2, showing Japan's strength, winning the first match right out of the gate, and 3, Isagi already said he got a winning formula. And at the time of the video, 1 chapter has released, which is pretty bonkers if you ask me. But anyways, I would personally choose a draw in this match, and then a loss to France, and then a win against England. That way, both England and Japan are both fighting for a spot, and it's way more intense. Both of these options, a loss or a tie, kind of makes sense. The first option, Japan winning against Nigeria, losing against France, and then a tying against England, it will probably go down to a goal/point difference. And since we know BLUELOCK is meant to create goal-scoring machines, they'll win by that. But I think the second option is just a lot more scarier for us as readers, exactly like the first selection, because if they drew against Nigeria, that means both Japan and England need the win in order to qualify, which I think it makes things way more interesting. So let me know how you think this match will result in, or any thoughts you have on the Nigeria team. Do you think they're strong? Am I underrating them or overrating them with my own rankings? Remember, this is all predictions on what we have seen so far, and only 1 chapter has released. I just wanted to make this video because I think it would be fun to rank them amongst the BLUELOCKers. That about wraps it up for this video, though. Make sure to subscribe to stay stay up to date with everything Blue Lock. U20 World Cup is finally here, so you don't want to miss anything related to it or discussing it. YouTube really thinks you like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. Anyways, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one.